Hello, everybody. It is Friday, the 18th of February, 2022. And those of you that I'm speaking to are all getting ready to embark on a cold Birkie 2022. So I just wanted to kind of do a quick video, kind of reminder while we've still got time to adjust and not be putting out any major fires. So at this point, the saying goes, "The hay's in the barn." So there's no need to do anything crazy. Less is more. So if you have any doubt, do less, not more. Rest is good. It is 100% better to come in slightly under-conditioned and rested than to come in skiing right up until the day of and being not rested and carrying fatigue. You will always outperform coming in rested. And so keep that in mind. 20, 30-minute skis are fine. Generally, what my approach is, and what you see in the calendar is in this last week or two, we shorten durations of skis. We keep a little bit of intensity in there. If you're used to doing 10 or 15 hill repeats, you might do 5 to 7. If you're doing some short pickups, they're shorter, they're less in duration, and they're shorter in the number of reps, where your body is still firing, but it's not adding any fatigue, so it can quickly recover. Making sure that you're nailing your nutrition this next week is super important. A lot of the workouts are recovery. You're just getting out and getting a feel for the skis, remembering how to dress, generally not allowing your body to go into any super compensation where you really start to recover too much. And then on race day, you're just flat and you find that the next morning or the next weekend, you could have crushed it and you're just at a loss. This happens way too often in endurance sports. Another thing that I have to mention is don't overdo the foam rolling. Realize that we've got a week and a little bit every day. You'll see it getting better and better and trending, and likely in those last 2 or 3 days they'll feel great. No new massages because you're tight, and if you've been doing them all along, they should be over by now, up until race day. And if you've got one scheduled for this weekend, it should be more of like a Swedish restorative massage where we're increasing blood flow. There's no deep digging of muscle tissue or anything. That's much like foam rolling or doing hard intervals. It can delay your recovery a number of days. So make sure you err on the side of good hydration, extra sleep, stretching and foam rolling, not overdoing any massage, not overdoing any workouts. Weight training, if it's in your schedule, it'd be one set. It's lighter weights, nothing heavy, nothing that adds fatigue. And then it looks like the forecast, those of you doing the open track on Wednesday, I'm seeing -4 at night, some snow showers, and then going to 9 on Wednesday. Now this is 5-6 days out, but it does look to be cold. And those skiing on Saturday, -5 at night, 17 during the day. If Friday night you go to bed in cable and you can see the stars, it will be at the colder level. If it's heavily clouded, a little bit of wind, it tends to be warmer. So it might be only in the low single digits if that's the case. If it's super calm, see the stars, expect it to be pretty cold. We've got a bunch of people at different waves. What do we need to know about the Birkie? One, make sure that you apply plenty of dermatone to all of your face and ears, earlobes. I got a little frostbite actually snow blowing, only 90 minutes out, and there must have been some snow that got in, got a little bit of a superficial Frostbite, you do not want to get that during one of these longer races. We don't want to cause any long-term damage. Use the tape on your nose and under on the bigger patches of skin, then put the dermatone over it. If those fall off, you've got to have chapstick or something to put over that part of the skin. Don't delay, get it over. Make sure you've got a good buff that you can move up and down. Ear muffs at these temperatures below 10 make a lot of sense to keep those ears. If your fingers are warm, your toes are warm, your nose and your ears are good, you're going to get through it with everything else being covered. We do need to be a little bit cold at the start. So if you're too warm at the start, you're going to be plenty too warm during the race. Think about dressing for the temperatures. There's a lot of hours out there. I don't think anybody's going under 230 in the group I'm got, and most people are 3 hours to 5.5 hours out there. So you've got to dress for the conditions. Having an extra buff that's dry and a hat can make a big difference at 00 if somebody's handing it to you. Take that hat off, put a dry one on. It can breathe a bunch of new life into you. Just make sure that all exposed skin is covered. And then let's make sure that we use some electrical tape around our ski tips so that if they get banged or hit, especially in skate races, there's nobody breaking them. They've got a little bit more durability. Make sure that all your straps are good to go. It's important that when you drive to the venue or take the bus, you are not wearing the socks that you're going to race in. If there's even a little bit of moisture at these cold temperatures, that moisture, especially on skate skiing and even with the double poling in striding, if there's not a lot of new snow, you're getting a lot of wind chill coming across those boots and your feet will be cold. We've skied in these colder temperatures a bunch this year. Couple of you, number of you, pretty much everybody actually, come to think of it, has done 1 or 2 cold races, the whole thing. So take those experiences. Don't try to over perfect them. If you were warm and it worked, stick with it. That goes also into, lobster gloves, so your fingers are warm. Making sure you wear boot covers if that's worked in the past. If your feet have been a little cold, get those boot covers. Make sure that you understand how to work them. So I typically get to the venue. I drive and I'll warm up in a pair of clothes. When I come back to the car, I basically change everything. There's not one piece of clothing that I warmed up in that I race in. I make sure that my socks are dry. I've got a towel to put where the floor mat is so there's no water that gets my toes wet. I make sure I'm absolutely dry prior to walking out. In the Birkie at these colder temperatures, the key is not to be winning at 10K. So you start easy, start in control. Make sure you don't ruin your race by getting tangled up or falling or going too hard early on. Save your energy, pace it, get in a rhythm. Make sure that your fueling choices, you start often and early and you stay on top of your nutrition the whole time. Make sure that if you're using a water bottle, it's closed, it doesn't drip on you, it's upside down, it's insulated. If you're carrying packets of mix, make sure that those are well marked. They're in Ziplocs. You can reach them. Maybe a vest that's a cycling vest or something with pockets on the back so you can easily reach. 30 seconds, 45 seconds in the feed zone where you fill up your water bottle, put the drink mix in, shake it, and off you go. Will save you minutes on the back half. Making sure that you have something like Science and Sport gels, which have really good isotonic mix where they absorb through the stomach lining, even if you're not super well hydrated or you're not taking with water is real important. If you do take the gels and you start cramping, you've got to get some water in. That's your body pulling the fluid from the muscle tissue into the stomach, trying to break that down so that you can actually absorb that. If it doesn't get absorbed, it sloshes around, you've got stomach juices, and you're actually adding to your dehydration because your body's trying to dilute that in the stomach, and it doesn't get to the extremities. When you slow down, your heart rate drops. It will reallocate the blood flow, and then slowly you ramp it back up after it's digested and you're good to go. So timing your breaks, thinking about it, pacing, super important. Remembering to have a little bit left at the top of each climb so that you're not out of breath and that you can keep moving. And then taking advantage of slight downhills to make sure that you're tucking when you can. The lower your aerodynamic profile, the faster you go. At these extreme temperatures, sometimes kind of putting your hands up a little bit to break the wind across your face, but getting a lower profile is helpful. Making sure that your ski choice is a softer ski tip if you're further back in the waves, or if there's going to be new snow. We don't want to plow into the snow and constantly be shaving off speed, where if we've got an active ski tip that'll glide across that sugar snow, that's going to be big. If you've got, say, like a 193 and a 189 or 187 option, it's a softer tip in the smaller skate ski. Pick the smaller skate ski. It's easier to move around. There's less chance of you tripping going up the hills with everybody. Let's see. I think that's about it. Just prepare for the cold. Hindsight, they say, is 20/20, but I think we can predict a lot of what we would be saying in hindsight. Play the scenarios. What would you be most happy with what you know today? Make sure that you play it just an air safe. Dress for the conditions. Pace yourself. If you go a little bit easier at the first half and you finish really strong and you're wondering if you could have pushed a little harder, ideally that was your perfect race. And that's as perfect as most of us want to get. If you're really pushing the limits and you're cramping and you're hanging on to it across Lake Hayward or from Hatchery, and you somehow survive, and you left everything on the course, we all could argue that's probably the absolute best. But we also know how fast, once you cramp, you can bleed time, right? So if you're coming up that long false flat out of Hatchery and you dug in too early, now it's just watching streams of people pass you, and there's lots of time that goes by. If that does become your reality, remember to keep moving and doing all the little tricks you know, looking for the better snow, tucking in, breaking it into segments, stuff like that. As for the race, start easy. There's plenty of room to kind of jockey on the power lines. Ski within yourself. Once it narrows, for the skate skiers, when you get to 7K hill, you just pace it and get up. Have a little bit in the legs for those two false flats at the top. Carry your downhills safely on the way down. You're going to come into Timber Trail. Don't skip that water stop. Make sure that you start fueling there. If you're carrying water, try to drink in between. Be aware of the ski tips and who's around you. If you're moving and you can drink, that's best. Having your belt where you can turn it around in front, you can pull it up, drink, put it back in, slide it back behind. Really good option. Making sure that you've got your gels accessible. I've seen people that are only using gels in these cold temperatures. They have a deep pocket around their waist, and they've got all the gels in there with it unzipped so they can reach in and grab it. And then they just take multiple water stops, 2-3 cups at each aid station. Between Timber Trail, the High Point, Bodecker, Double O, the first 25 kilometers, 28 kilometers, you've got 4 quality water stops. And then you've got Gravel Pit and Mosquito Brook and Hatchery. You should be good to go with 7 water stops over 50 some kilometers. Just making sure that you're taking your gels. As for the floral free, make sure that you've got your skis really buffed, got them done early, using a good cold hard wax. Cable is always colder than what the air temperature shows. It skis colder. It's been super cold on that trail. When they regroom and pull up that colder snow, it always makes a difference. Later in the race, you skaters, don't be afraid to jump in the tracks, especially if you're further back in waves. Be aware of the classic skiers, but a lot of times you can give your legs a rest. You can double pull a little bit. You can carry speed. You can tuck. You give your adductors a rest, and then power out and hit it up over the little rolling climbs from, say, Gravel Pit to Bitch Hill, or maybe even from Double O down to Mosquito Brook. But try to take advantage of these things. It's huge. Having a plan, sticking to it. I think some of you are coming from some pretty far back waves, and if you're patient, being able to pass people the whole time really keeps you engaged, and it's super helpful. I'm around all weekend for any questions on anything Birkie. I will be up there Tuesday night or Wednesday morning. I will see a few of you likely down near probably the Brooks when you come through on Wednesday for the open skate, assuming I can, if I have to wait until Wednesday morning, I get up there in time. And then I will be racing the classic race on Saturday, and many of you will be doing the skate race on Saturday. So that's the scoop, and I wish you all good luck, and I just wanted to kind of give you a quick update. So feel free to reach out to me with any questions.